Here.
Here.
Any conflicts? Item 4, approval of minutes of the meeting, June 19th, June 26th, and July 3rd.
I have reviewed the minutes. I'd like to make a motion that we approve them.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item A, agreement for engineering services with DLZ Engineers for the Northcott Avenue Bridge project.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the supervision contract with DLZ.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item B, agreement for extension of facilities for the provision of gas and electric services beyond standard service with NIPSCO.
This one here. This is for Dowling Park. This is so they can do the engineering on it. And there's 2 copies of the agreement. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement. If you're going to be signing it, you need to initial next to the C and then sign on this page so we can get these mailed back. Get power out there for the license. This one. Other sheet one. We just sign it after the meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item C, change order number 2 received from Beam, Lonks, and Neff LLC for the Erie, Lackawanna, and Monon pedestrian trails.
This is a change order for some miscellaneous items. There were some changes in the bridge structure that required some existing walk to be taken out, some curb and gutter to be replaced, crosswalk removal. It's $13,790. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the change order. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Item D. Item D, general plan Grand Marquette Greenway geotechnical boring submitted for approval from Earth Exploration, Inc.
Yeah, they're going to be doing some soil testing out in the area of the proposed Marquette Greenway. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the boring plan that they have. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Ayes have it. Item E, receipt of a fully executed memorandum of agreement between the Indiana Department of Transportation and the City of Hammond concerning the transfer of a section of US 41 at Sheffield and Lake County.
The triangle between Sheffield and Calumet, the state doesn't need it anymore, so they're going to give it to us, and we could utilize it as part of our development. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve acceptance of that
Motion?
parcel.
All those in favor? Ayes have it. Item F, change order for the 169th Street project submitted for approval.
This is just a time limit change order. It doesn't affect any dollars. It grants them an extension in, I think it's like 14 days on the project because of unforeseen delays like water main breaks.
Motion? Second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item G, correspondence received from Mr. Jonathan Parker, Engineering Department, requesting $30,000 from Councilman Anthony Higgs to fund a 2014 sidewalk repair program.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve that transfer.
Second.
The mayor signed off, right?
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Correspondence received. Item H, correspondence received from Chief of Police John Doty approving a block party.
Make a motion that we, Chief Doty says it's okay with us.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item I, specific finding of fact and decision regarding one-day call-off for the Hammond Fire Department.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
Concur. All those in favor? Ayes have it. Item J, real estate lease between the City of Hammond and JJS Recycling Factory LLC for the property located at 625 Concord.
This is the old recycling building that we're no longer going to be using since we're farming out recycling to Republic. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the lease. Chris has already reviewed it, right?
The motion,
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item K, hearing on property located at 526 Locust Street.
Hello, I'm attorney Natasha Burkett, and I represent Marco Yaxon, the owner of 526 Locust Street. I also have with me two witnesses that I intend to call, one of which is the property manager, Adam Lolinski, as well as the owner's father, Stephen Yaxon. And I'd like to first make an introductory remark, if it is all right with the board.
Can we hear what the issue is from building first?
This has been going on for a while, right?
No, this is the initial hearing.
New one?
Yes.
Okay.
Property in question is 526 Locust. We're asking for the removal of second floor apartment in the basement, bedrooms / apartment, whatever it's being used for at this time.
You got pictures?
Well, how many units are actually existing there right now?
And basement bedrooms as well.
Okay, so there's not another unit in the basement?
Not really.
Okay.
So you're asking that the...
Go back to a single family home.
Family?
Yeah.
You're on there.
Okay, it's our contention that the property was built as a two-unit property, that it was originally built as a two-unit, and that there is no... I'm echoing here. Is there a problem? Okay, and the basement is not actually being used as a separate living quarters. The basement is being utilized as storage. There's a laundry room down there. There is a bathroom in the basement, but it's not being utilized as habitable space.
Isn't there a bedroom down there?
No, there's a bed that, or at least there was a bed that was for storage purposes only. This has been around for a while. The owner lives in Seattle, which is why his father is here with us today. So there's actually a lot of storage space in the basement as well as the garage. The basement's not being rented out as a separate unit.
Bottom line,
Can you show me the picture? Which one is basement?
basement are the first three pages. All from the basement.
Okay, I guess what I'm asking. Is this one the bedroom?
Correct.
I mean, is it blocked, all the glass block in the basement?
Yes.
And there's only one entrance into the basement, right?
Well, we have a picture of a bed with a comforter and a heater right next to it.
And I'd like to have my witnesses testify because there is,
They're gonna say nobody sleeps in it, I assume, right?
what's that?
Are they gonna say nobody sleeps down there?
I,
We could just avoid that, because I'm sure that's what they're gonna say. I'm sure not gonna come up here and say, yeah, we got people sleeping in the basement.
well, what they're going to say is that the property is rented out as a two-unit property, that it is the first floor and the second floor that is rented out, and that, you know, if someone is living, you know, if someone is sleeping downstairs, that that is not something that is authorized under the lease. There are multiple entrances, and again, that could be testified to by the property manager. Okay, I'd like to call Adam Lelinski.
How you doing?
Could you please state your full name and occupation for the board?
Adam Lubinsky, I'm the owner of Real Property Management.
And,
The property manager, sir?
Yes,
in your, do you manage the property at 526 Locust?
yes.
What is your background in real estate, if you could just briefly advise me of that?
I just kind of got into this because I have my own rental properties. One thing led to another. I've rehabbed, sold, you know,
And how long have you been managing properties and doing the rehabbing on them?
for about 10 to 15 years.
Okay, have you been in a number of buildings in the city of Hammond?
Several.
Would it be fair to say that over the past few years, how many buildings have you been in, sorry? In the past 10 to 15 years, in your experience as a property manager and rehabber, how many buildings would you say you've been in?
So, I mean, over 500 for sure.
Okay, in your experience, have you had the opportunity to see other multi-unit buildings like the one at 526 Locust?
Yes.
Okay, could you describe the interior of 526 Locust?
Sure. I mean, all the fixtures, the flooring, everything's dated the same. You know, it wasn't something that was added on afterwards. Everything is consistent throughout the house.
And when you say that it's dated, approximately when do all the fixtures appear to be from?
Whenever the home was built, I would estimate.
Yes.
Matt? Yeah. She said it's got multiple entrances. How many entrances are in the building?
Front door?
Okay, does the back door go to the second floor on a separate staircase, or you have to go
No,
through the house to get to
go
the
to the
second?
basement or the main floor.
So the interior, to get to the second floor apartment, are you saying there's a second floor apartment, ma'am?
There is a second floor unit, yes.
But you have to go through the first floor to get to the second floor? You can't, there's not a direct route up to the second
Yes,
floor?
there is.
Then how can you, so if I rented the second floor, the first floor, I had to let people walk through my house to get to their apartment?
No. There's a common front door, and then when you walk in the front door, you know, you go one way to the main floor unit or upstairs to the second floor unit.
Right. You have to go through the first floor apartment, go all the stairs.
No, you don't.
So what you're saying is there's a vestibule,
There is a common front door, so,
a common front door?
Right.
There's a vestibule that where
right.
you go
You either go left to
upstairs?
the main floor unit, or you go upstairs to the second floor unit.
What he's saying, I believe, is that you're not walking directly through that first floor
No.
unit to get to
How
the
do the
second
people
floor.
that live on the second floor get to the basement?
They really don't, but in this case, they made an agreement with each other to share the laundry.
Well, that's with the people that live there now. What if somebody else moved in and didn't want to share the laundry?
They really wouldn't have to. I wouldn't tell the tenant on the first floor that they have to let somebody else walk through the unit.
Ceiling height at the second floor.
Ceiling height is okay. So,
On the second floor?
yes.
So,
Well, the ceiling height on the second floor, doesn't it vary?
with the pitch?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
How many rooms are on the second floor? How many rooms?
It's a full living quarter, kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom.
How many windows?
I don't,
There's no dormers on the back or anything, right?
dormers,
I don't have a picture of the back of the.
Matt, is there a dormer on the back? I mean, the front and the side, there's no dormer. Unless it's raised in the back.
Here's the bottom line, there's rooms upstairs, it meets code for ceiling height, okay? But it was built as a four-room frame residence. We have a building permit in 1951 to show that, okay? There's no fire separation between the first floor and second floor. If it was a legal unit, there would be fire separation.
And we,
Regardless of all of that, there's no permit to build a multi-unit home on this lot. Four-room frame residence.
There's actually a second permit in 1951 that was issued shortly after the original permit in 1950. The 1951 permit reflects two-story residence, and on that same date, it reflects putting in of additional fixtures with a totaling of 7, and I could introduce this to the board. This is the building permit history. It was tendered to me pursuant to a public records request to the city. It's on the third page, the 1951 permit.
Additional pictures. Two-story. It says residence.
Right, it also indicates the 7 fixtures.
I mean, what is 7 fixtures?
It could be anything, it could be a light fixture. Correct.
I mean, that's kind of vague.
Right, well, you can't tell from any of these permits what exactly, and we,
It does say second story.
yeah, it does show that there's a second story here, whereas the initial permit in 1950 says four-room frame residence. So, I mean, perhaps the city could speak to why 2 permits would be issued right away for exactly the same building unless there was, you know, some sort of common plan.
I mean,
Here's the bottom line, it was built as a 4-room frame residence, single-family home. Obviously, that same year, they decided to add additional fixtures to the second story for additional living space, not an additional unit,
yeah, I understand. So the people that owned it probably wanted to have rooms upstairs.
another room.
Regardless, there have been additional permits that have been issued since that
Ma'am,
time.
it just says fixtures. It's not saying they're putting extra rooms upstairs because people are gonna rent out the room. It doesn't say anything. It just says
It
fixtures.
doesn't
Well,
say
and-
convert to multifamily or anything like that.
As we all know, the city didn't keep the best records in 1951. I believe Mr. Cook had testified to that not too long ago in a trial that we were in together. The records since that time have become a lot better.
agree.
Specifically, there was an electric permit issued by the city in 2009 to reconnect the upstairs unit. There was also a mechanical permit issued in 2009 to reconnect the gas. And in 2009, there was also a building permit issued for a fence around the property, which was pulled by the owner's father, Stephen Yaxon.
The electric hookup, I don't know why it was shut off, but get it turned back on. Has it ever been registered as a registered as a rental?
This,
I have a question for Mr., when she's done directly, Mr. Lukowski, Linsky, I'm sorry, I do have some questions for him on that.
Can I find out, has it ever been registered as a?
it has been registered as a rental unit consistently since 2009. In fact, the city was aware that it had not been registered as a rental unit in 2009 because the city filed a notice of violation requesting that it be registered as a rental unit. And I have a copy of that as well as the homeowner's affidavit and records reflecting the rental of the rental registration of the property, to which Mr. Lilinski would be able to speak, and additional property managers prior to him had made sure it was registered as a rental. This is a copy of the description of violation, requesting that rental registration happen. The homeowner's affidavit, because Mr. Jackson was residing on the first floor as this rental registration shows. And then these are the remainder of the notes provided by the city that reflects that the property was registered as a rental unit from 2009 until 2014.
Well, the second floor wasn't,
Right, I just want
Occupied.
to clarify that, Mr. President. If you look at the 3/24/2010, it says single-family home.
and the second floor wasn't registered or rented.
Right.
According to this, it says vacant on the second floor.
Right, and then in 2010, it says single-family home. So,
What is that, Chris? Which one are you looking at?
2010. Just reflect Commissioner Shipping 09,
Yeah.
which is signed 7/22/09. It says second floor vacant. And then she handed you 3/24/2010.
Second floor vacant, yeah.
Where the owner wrote single-family home for number of units.
We have consistently, though, since the rental screen print records show 2 units in all of these, excepting for 2009, it does say 2009 that the second is vacant, literally says second vacant, and then each of those subsequent ones, it reflects 2 different people. In fact, years 2012, 2013, and 2014 number each of the units, Unit 1, Unit 2.
Are there multiple access points to that second floor?
That's what I was going to ask Mr. Lilinski, the property manager.
There is just one entrance.
And Mr. Lilinski, you said that nobody's supposed to be sleeping in the basement, is that correct?
To my,
He didn't state that, I stated that he could testify to that.
Property manager, correct?
right,
How many people are supposed to be sleeping in the basement?
there's only one person that lives in that unit.
Okay, so
In the first floor
the
unit.
second floor unit has no two ways out, correct? So if there's a fire in the vestibule and I'm on the second unit, how do I get out?
You probably have to jump out a window.
Isn't there also an emergency escape ladder?
That I couldn't honestly answer.
You're not gonna jump out of that window without breaking your legs, because that's a story and a half, at least, from the ground.
So Mr. Lilinski, if I'm in the second floor apartment and the front vestibule has a fire, there's a fire on the front porch in front of the house, how do I get out of the second floor without jumping on the window?
How would you get out? I guess you could ask that same question in a single-family home if there was a fire coming up the stairs. I mean, the same way. There's only one way up, one way down, right?
Well, if it's a single family home, I have to go through the inside of the first unit to get out. It would be a single family home. I wouldn't be intruding into somebody else's locked personal space.
But there would, if it was a single-family home, you would still have just the stairs going upstairs. If someone was sleeping up there, the same circumstance would happen.
Now, you said nobody's supposed to be in the basement, correct?
Correct. There's
So how many bedrooms are on the first floor unit?
2.
And how many bedrooms are on the top floor unit?
1.
So why would you register it as a 3-bedroom unit in 2014?
There's 2 bedrooms on the first floor,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 1 bedroom on the second floor.
Correct. But you wrote there were 3 bedrooms and 1 bedroom. So that includes the basement then, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't fill this out, my assistant did, but there is, number of bedrooms, yeah. I mean, it's a
So you
2-bedroom.
included the basement bedroom.
That was false, that was done in error, but yeah, it's a 2-bedroom unit.
Could I get a copy of that?
Sure, I thought you had that.
No, I don't. I have the, okay, is this all mine?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. President, what we have here is we have a person who's not coming in saying, no, we're supposed to be in the basement, but they're registering it as somebody being in the basement.
And you just heard Mr. Lilinski testify that this was an error by his staff. He did not personally oversee this, and Mr. Lilinski had all other records with the city consistently reflected this property as a 2-unit property.
That, in that particular property, if we were to rent it out, it'd be max occupancy 4 people. So on the main level, upstairs would be max occupancy too.
In 2009, this was registered, rental registration for 2-unit with 1 unit occupied. How about 10, 11, 12? Was the property,
We,
I was in wrong. I was higher last year.
but we do have the screen prints that the city provided us showing that it was registered as a multi-unit building, that there was registration for a first unit, a second unit from 2010 to 2014.
2010 is listed as a single-family home.
2010 is listed as a single-family home. Was
2009,
your rental registration paid in 2010 for 2 units?
If I had to guess, it wasn't because I think it was still owner occupied.
Yes, it would have been owner occupied at that
In 09,
period of time.
The second floor was vacant, so why would you register if it was owner occupied, if the second?
Because there was a notice of violation requiring him to register both units.
Was owner occupied in 2009?
The owner was on the first, was it the first floor that he occupied in 2009? And the second floor unit was at that time vacant when it was registered. He was intending
It
to
was
utilize
vacant.
that as
Why
a
did you
rental.
pay the rental registration fee?
What's that?
In 2009, why did you pay a rental registration fee if it was vacant?
I can't speak to that. I wasn't there in 2009, but wouldn't the city
Well, you
rather have
submitted this
additional
as-
money
you
when
submitted
there's a
this as
two-unit property?
evidence, And as part of your argument, you submitted this as evidence.
And what I'm stating is that he, the reason that he would have paid that is because he was intending to utilize that as a rental property. At the very instant that he did the rental registration, that property was not occupied. And it was subsequent, that second floor unit has subsequently been occupied.
Matt, was it registered as a 2-unit, 11 and 12 and 13? Yes. It was.
but with only 2 bedrooms. The third bedroom only occurred at the time the third bedroom was discovered.
And there's not a separate third bedroom if she's speaking about a basement bedroom. Could you advise the board what is different about the basement and what the basement's purpose is?
I really don't know your question. I mean,
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll rephrase. I guess my question wasn't that clear. How is the basement set up?
it's mainly just an area of storage, the owner's stuff.
Well, there's a bed down there that's with a comforter and a heater sitting next to it. My question, Matt, would you guys approve the second floor being used as a rental property if there was a separate staircase on the outside going upstairs?
That would be a question for Mr. Cook.
Mr. Cook? If the ceiling height's okay with you guys right now, and there was a separate staircase built to go up somewhere,
Is there adequate window area for that second floor? Because it looks to me like there's only 2 small windows, because it obviously was an attic at one time.
That isn't something that the city has contended in their notice of violation.
I'd also like to add this property is being taxed as a single-family home.
This,
okay, well, that's,
The-
I was looking for that and I couldn't find it.
the property is being taxed at 2%. The property is not taxed at 1.
That's correct.
I did.
Show 510 code, which is single family home. 1941 was a single family home, 2014.
But Kurt,
Yes.
okay, single-family home, but if there's no homestead on it, it's being taxed at 2%, which is other than a single-family homestead, okay?
Right. The tax rate may or may not, the tax rate would have been the same. The value of the property may or may not have been the same from a single-family home to a duplex.
It's assessor's,
Kurt, let's go back to the staircase. If they were to, you know,
If they were to put an outside entrance in, first thing, zoning would not allow it.
okay.
Second thing, you would have a variety of other things that would have to be done. The sides, the have to do one on the first floor, one on the second floor.
The, Mr. Lidlinski, how are the NIPSCO meters set up? You just heard, Mr. Cook.
Two separate meters.
And what do those meters go to? Is there one, gas meter to the first floor, one gas to the second floor unit?
Yes,
Is there one electric meter to the first floor unit and one electric meter to the second floor unit?
yes,
And are those billed separately?
yes.
How many, how does the water department treat the building?
As a one unit, so,
But isn't the water billed separately
no.
to each unit?
It's not.
Does, the owner pay for the water?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and so there obviously are rental agreements on the property. Could you advise the board how, who is on the first floor, who is on the second floor?
Sure, you have, I can't remember their names, but Norman Borges is on the first floor. Second floor is, Mrs. Bronzel. I can't remember her first name.
I believe it's Angela. The second floor unit, is that subject to a lease?
Yes.
And who is that lease with?
It's currently with a different property manager, but it'll soon be with us.
And that's because when you took over the property, you just assumed that lease, correct?
Correct.
So when you took over the property, was there a tenant on the first floor unit?
Yes,
Was there a tenant on the second floor unit?
yes,
And the tenant on the first floor unit, it's my understanding that he pays on a month-to-month basis. Is that accurate?
correct.
Okay, and approximately how long has that tenant been on the first floor unit?
I don't know. I know he's been there for at least a couple of years.
We don't care. We don't care about the first floor. We're here for the basement and the second floor.
Well, again,
Chris, you got an opinion?
let me ask him something then about the basement. Is there a kitchen in the basement?
No,
Is the basement, has anyone ever lived in the basement, to your knowledge?
no,
If the city asked for the bed that is stored in the basement to be stored elsewhere, would you comply with that request?
I'm sure. I believe it's the owner's bed, so yeah, we just get it out of there.
Okay, is there also a laundry room in the basement,
Yes,
a rec room,
yes,
and the rest is a bathroom and storage space? Is that correct?
yes.
That's all in the pictures.
Okay, since you took over as the property manager, have you given the city a rental registration form?
Yes,
Okay, you had stated previously that the fixtures in the house appeared to be old. Approximately how old do they appear to be?
most of them are still the age of when the home was built, I would assume.
And to the best of your knowledge, the home was built in 1950, correct?
Yes,
Do you know when Mr. Yaxon purchased the property?
I don't know.
If I told you that it was 2005, would that comport with what you may have heard him discuss previously?
I know he had lived there for a few years before he moved to Seattle, so that's about right, yeah.
Okay. Let me just ask you to tell me a little bit about the inspection of the property. Could you tell me how that occurred?
I believe they contacted the owner, who then contacted me to schedule an appointment. I did. Nothing out of the ordinary really. I've done so several times in the past. We met at the property. We went upstairs. They asked to move some of the tenants' belongings, looking, and it was just a little bit different than looking crawl spaces, stuff like that. Same thing downstairs, opening up closets, stuff that's typically not normal.
Now, when you usually are present during an inspection, what do city inspectors typically look at?
Mainly electrical, just your mainly electrical common things. I'm sure Ceiling height now seems to be a big issue, and then, you
Do
know,
they typically look into tenants' closets?
typically not, no.
Do they typically go through the tenants' belongings?
No, I didn't never do that.
What did it appear that they were looking for when they were at the inspection?
The evidence to see if it was a converted multi-unit, and it was pretty clear that's what they were doing.
And how many inspectors were present at the inspection?
3,
Is that typical in your experience?
no.
How many inspectors are there usually at an inspection?
Typically 1 or 2.
Can I ask the relevance of that question? How many inspectors were there?
We're trying to,
What's the relevance?
the relevance is that the city basically forced their way in to
He let him in.
doing,
He let
well,
him in. He didn't knock
the
door down.
inspection went beyond the scope
knock the
of the
door down.
consent that was given,
Well,
is our
Is that true?
contention.
I'm sorry?
Is that true? Did the inspection go beyond the scope that you allowed?
No, I never stopped them from doing anything, but
Thank you.
there was, it seemed a little excessive what was going on. It wa-
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
As a property manager,
Mhm.
are you aware that you're supposed to let the Hammond Water Works know that it's a rental unit? And that how many units are there? Because if you have 2 units, you're supposed to be paying 2 garbage fees.
Right.
So, going back numerous years now,
Mhm.
you've been taking advantage of the city of Hammond by not indicating to the Hammond Water Works that it's a rental unit, increasing the deposit and paying the additional garbage fee.
I've actually haven't even been managing the property for a year, but I know the owner pays those fees. He registers it as been registered as a 2-unit. I wasn't aware of that deal with the Hammond Water Department, to be honest about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it has been registered as a 2-unit, so if there is an issue with the Hammond Water Department, I'm sure that, Mr. Lulinski would be willing to correct that, right?
Absolutely.
Chris, do you have a,
Yeah, I got a couple questions for Mr. Lewis. You said you've been in 500 properties, right? That's right.
Easily, yes.
When somebody stores a bed, they store it cleaning, along with the comfort sheets turn bad and the blanket for the bed. Is that how they store beds?
Typically not, but knowing the circumstances of that house, I believe the owner kind of left it mainly furnished for the tenant that lives there. A lot of the owner's belongings are still in the house. So,
What about this mattress that's stored here? Whose is that?
again, that's all the owner's stuff that he's
So he
made.
didn't make this bed, he just stuffed it by the exercise equipment.
I would assume so, yes. I mean, I couldn't answer. I wasn't there at the time he moved out.
Property manager, do you have training as to how wide a window has to be so it's legal to jump out of?
I know I know what an egress window is, if that's your question, yes.
Do the windows upstairs meet the egress window requirements as far as?
I'd like to object to that. That isn't something that the city has indicated was an issue in their notice of
You
violation.
just indicated you know what an egress window is. Are these legal egress windows?
Typically, egress windows, I didn't even know there was a requirement for the upstairs unit.
If that's their way out, you said there was no second way out, and the windows were the second way out. Are they
Right.
lawful for that purpose?
I haven't.
Again, that's not something that has been stated in the city's,
I would contradict that, that he said that there was a second way out, since there's a second set of stairs to use the windows. And so I want to make sure, since that's the only second way out, that they're lawful.
but if that isn't subject to this notice of violation, that's not an issue.
It does go to the issue that what this was built as a 2-unit, it would have been built with windows that somebody could get out, and more importantly, a fireman can get in.
Mr. Lulinski, have building standards, to your understanding, changed since 1951 to present day?
Yes,
And is that based on your experience as a property manager?
yes.
Based on your experience as a property manager, what do you believe 526 Locust was built as?
I believe it was built for purpose as it sits today.
And what purpose is that?
I imagine back in the day, a upstairs mother-in-law unit, whatever you want to call it, there's several terms for it.
And today,
Not
is it a
necessarily rental,
two-unit?
Sir, not necessarily a rental unit, correct?
If you're renting out to a family member, yeah, absolutely, it could have been a rental unit. I mean, the kitchen, the bathroom, the flooring, the fixtures, everything in there is very consistent with it. Was built that way from day one. I don't think they added on to it ever.
Does the layout of
My
the,
personal opinion. You know?
Mr. Ludlinski, does the layout of the first floor and the second floor as distinct units appear to be purposeful?
Yes, I mean, they were, I guess, I don't know where, I guess if you're asking, they were, as it sits today, I think it was built.
As a two-unit property?
Correct.
Mr. Lewis, the two-unit or is related living, because you said mother-in-law. Related living and two-unit are different, you know the distinction, correct?
Correct.
And
There's-
how do you feel this was built, is related living or two-unit?
I think either or. I mean, back in the day, it was very common. You know, there's several coach houses and stuff like that that people had, they rented out. So I don't really know. To me, there's not that great of a distinction. I mean, a mother-in-law to me is more something that will give you clear access to the main floor unit. Anyone that lived upstairs does not have to have clear access to that main floor unit. It's two lockable entrances.
It's two lockable entrances now or was built as such?
I believe it was built that way. I doubt they just left the doors open. I mean, there's always been doors there.
Well, there's a difference between having a door and there's a difference between having a separate entrance. How do you feel it was built?
I think it was built the way it sits, two lockable entrances. There was a main floor, there's a main door, a common door, and then two other doors.
Can I ask a question? Just one further question.
Sure.
Could you characterize the neighborhood for me?
It's a pretty nice neighborhood.
Single family, multifamily?
You know, I gotta understand, I go to a lot of neighborhoods, all Lakeland, Porter County. There is multifamily units pretty much everywhere in Hammond. I believe it's mainly a single family
I'm not
home.
asking about many places in Hammond.
Right.
I'm asking about this neighborhood.
I know there's at least one other multifamily unit very close to there, and then I know right there, once you get to Holman, there's several, so. But on that particular street, I would say probably more single family than not.
Okay, I'd like to call Mr. Yaxon, who is the father of Marco Yaxon, the property owner. Okay, Mr. Yaxon, are you familiar with the property at 526 Locust?
Yes, I am.
And when did you first become acquainted with the property?
Well, when my son bought it.
And your son bought it in approximately 2005, is that correct?
Correct.
And what was the property when he purchased the property?
What do you mean?
Was it a multi-unit or a two-unit building?
Yeah, it was a 2-unit building, right?
Okay, so when he purchased it in 2005, the property was a two-unit building.
Right.
Can I ask a question? When he bought it, did he live in it?
Yes.
Who was living upstairs?
I really don't know that. What do you call it? Because, like I said, we are a large.
living upstairs?
Yes.
When he bought it?
Yes. What do you call it? We are a large family, so when we come visit by him, you know, as a family, we share the whole house. We sleep in the
Hold on a
basement,
minute.
whatever.
Your large family, was your family living up there, or was he collecting
No,
rent from a
no.
tenant?
I don't know who lived upstairs. Like I said, that's something I don't know.
But I don't know, Judge, because if he doesn't know anything about it, how can he testify to how it's being used?
And he would be able to testify from, he was in there in 2009. He also pulled some of the permits on behalf of his son. The permits that were pulled in 2009 for the electric and gas reconnect for the second floor unit.
Right.
When did your son leave the property at 526 Locust? Do you recall?
Well, he's going back and forth because that was his main home over here. What do you call it? He worked in Detroit for a while, then he come back, you know, then he goes back. He was in Charleston, South Carolina for a while, came back, the same thing. So he's going back and forth in Seattle because he's engineer for Boeing, so they send him around.
What
And-
floor did he live on when he was in
First
526
floor.
Locust?
First floor.
And did he have tenants that rented the second floor at different times?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, did he register the property as a rental property from 2009 to 2014?
Yes, he did, actually, because I pulled a permit on that because when the inspector came, because I pulled a permit for the fence. By the way, thank you very much. Your town was very nice to me. I didn't know nothing about the law or whatever, what needs to be done, and they worked me step by step over here all the way with all the permits I needed, whatever I had to do, and I did everything according to the law. And then the inspector asked, well, want to turn on the gas and electric. They said, well, it says you need to have it inspected first before you do that. Okay, so I came over here, called the inspector, came, checked everything, was great. He did the okay. The electric company and the gas came and turned it back on because they didn't want the pipes to freeze in the wintertime.
And was this in 2009 that the property was inspected
I believe
by the
something like that, right?
inspector?
And what do you call it? Like I said, your guys were very, very nice, and I can't say nothing bad about it, you know.
And you also applied for and received a permit for a fence, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah,
And-
the fence has nothing to do with the basement or the second floor, so.
You said the city walked you through that, though,
Yes,
correct?
they did, exactly. Everything. Like I said, they told me what to do first, and I was coming back and forth, back and forth. They were so nice to me. I mean,
Well, Mr. Cook appreciates that, I'm sure.
I couldn't get better people to work. I worked for municipality for 21 years for City of Chicago, so I know how it is when you go do things and people put it on a back burner. Over here, they helped me right away, so I can't complain.
Did you ever live in one of the units at 526 Locust?
Oh, yeah, well, I would come on the weekends, on a Friday, I'd stay over here on the weekend because I take care of the whole place around there.
Living and staying are a couple of
And-
different things.
Are you familiar with the setup of the property?
Yes, yes.
And is it as Mr. Lelinski described it?
Yes,
What do you believe the building was built as?
it was built on, what do you mean?
Was it built as a two-unit property?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And to the best of your knowledge, has it always been a two-unit property?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, yeah. And that, what do you call it, when he bought it, actually, they were advertising it as a two-unit property too.
Right, when he purchased it from the
Yeah.
realtor was
Yeah.
advertising it as a two-unit?
Yeah.
Okay, with respect to the basement, has anyone ever lived in the basement, to your knowledge?
It's just the storage, and when we would come over there, so we wouldn't bother nobody else, we would sleep over there, because like I said, there's 6 of us.
You just answered her question wrong because you said no, and then you said when we come over, we would sleep down there. Yes.
Well, yeah, we spend the night, but we have to, what do you call it? We came over here for the weekend, and we would stay there. Yes, we are us.
But you
family.
weren't living in
No,
the,
no,
no one was
no,
living
no,
in the
no,
basement.
no.
It may have been
Right.
slept in once
Yeah,
or twice as
that's
a
it.
sleeping room.
Right.
Kind of like a hotel,
Yes.
correct? Okay, but it was not being
No,
used
no,
as
no,
a
no.
separate
I
unit
wouldn't
ever.
characterize it as a hotel, you're digging a bigger hole for yourself.
Well, the thing it is, you, I don't know, but by
I'm-
us, when somebody comes to visit your own family, you put them where you can. So if
Understood, sir.
they're not comfortable, then they can go to a hotel. But since we, want to stay together, we stay together. We manage the way we can. We happen to like your city over here.
But the basement is not being used as as a living space.
Definitely not.
There's no kitchen,
no,
correct?
No, there is no kitchen. No, no. I
Okay,
have to go upstairs and use the first floor kitchen. Yes.
right, so no one is living in the basement unit?
No.
Okay,
Never.
thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to advise the city of?
No, just like I said, thank you very much. I mean, I never had problems with them. They were very nice to me. I hope they understand and be nice to my son too, so.
Okay.
When's the last time you slept over there?
A few years, it's been a few years, yeah.
Why is there a fully made bed in the basement?
My son left all his clothes and everything all over because when we used to come, like I said from the beginning, we used to come, all of us, everybody slept wherever they can. So everybody in the family gave him something. So here you are, you have something. So as he bought new stuff, he put the old stuff down in the basement, is the story.
There's a fully made bed in the basement.
Okay.
Pillows, blanket,
Okay.
comforter, blanket rust, and
Right.
nobody slept in it for 2 years. But you-
Yeah. He also, couches and everything all around, yes. And TVs and VCRs and everything. If I bought a new one, I give him the old one. Here you are.
But when you store a bed, do you store it fully made in the basement?
Yeah, why not?
Does the sheets get dirty?
No, no, you get, what do you call it? No, it doesn't. There's nobody around it.
If
So,
you had 2 years in the basement, it wouldn't get dirty. It's fine just the way it is.
well, I guess you would have some dust if you, what do you call it, but,
I don't have anything else.
Mr. Jackson, what all does your son store on the property? You said he stores furniture. What else does he store?
Let's see. Well, he had a couch in the basement, he had,
Okay.
what do you call it, TVs, the VCRs, he had shelves with books and, what do you call it, very expensive books I paid for it, for the engineering, for crying out loud, thousands of dollars. And, you know,
Furniture,
a couple of
beds?
refrigerators, the old ones. We gave him everything. We says, okay, I'm buying a brand new one. You want my old? Yeah, bring it to me. So we put it on. I bought the washing machine and the dryer, me myself. I paid for him. I paid for the fence for him and everything. I did.
Is there also storage in the garage?
Yes, it is.
So there's storage in both the garage and the basement?
Yes, both of them, right.
Okay, thank
There's
you.
pictures of our families and everything all over there.
Okay, thank you very
Yes.
much. Okay, I have some questions for Mr. Saliga as well. Okay, Mr. Saliga, were you present at the inspection of this property?
Yes.
Who else was present at the inspection?
I believe Mr. Kearney and Mr. Callahan.
Okay, and did Mr. Callahan sign the notice of violation?
For this inspection?
Yes.
2014, I believe there was no citation. I contacted the owner by email.
No, I mean, for the notice of violation, I'll show you a copy of this document. I'm sure you're familiar with
May
it.
27th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Callahan signed that?
Yes.
But you have knowledge of the items contained in this notice of violation, correct? Okay. What building permit fees are you contending that Mr. Yaxon owes pursuant to 150.003?
For rooms, apartment in the basement, there would have been a permit. And since there's no permit, there are no fees paid.
Now, if the basement is not being used for habitation, would a permit be required? If the basement is not being inhabited as a living space, would a permit be required?
No. But it is being occupied.
And why do you contend that the basement's being occupied?
Your witnesses have stated so. You're registered as a 3-bedroom, first-floor unit.
And again, that was,
Bed made with a heater.
again, you're confusing things here because Mr. Lelinski stated that that the placing of 3 in the one single form over 5 years was an error.
This characterization, whether it is a mistake or isn't a mistake, it is registered as a 3-bedroom. This doesn't erase the fact that now he says it's 2.
No.
It physically accomplished that it was registered as a 3-bedroom first-floor unit.
And again, the basement is not being utilized as a habitable living space. There is no kitchen. If you're going to use a place as a separate unit, You'd want to have a kitchen. You'd want to have, you know, a bedroom. You'd want to have everything else other units have, but the,
Ceiling height in the basement, Matt.
Ceiling height varies from 6'3" to 6'11", 6'3" being in the bath. In the bathroom, 6'8" would be required, and that doesn't meet code.
but
There's no fire separation. And Mr. Oxon testified that there's refrigerators down there, a bedroom, and a laundry tub, and believe me, people can use that as an apartment.
But if it's not being utilized as living space, then there's absolutely no reason to object to this property.
Can you show me a permit that shows that basement could be occupied?
I'm not saying the basement's occupied. I'm not contending that the basement is being used as a habitable space. I'm saying the basement is being used as a basement. And additionally, what is the difference between a cellar and a basement? Because you have cited a particular section here, section 96.068, use of cellar habitation prohibited.
More than 50% of the area would be above ground. That would be considered a basement.
And does this meet the requirements of both a cellar and a basement, or just one?
This would be a cellar, by definition. As far as I understand.
Now, if this cellar is not being used for habitation, does this,
What I'm going to object is, because she says it's not, it doesn't make it not. The pictures, evidence, the testimony, people sleep on it, there's a refrigerator, there's a bathroom. You can't just keep saying it's not being used for habitation.
and again, there's a difference between, you know, someone temporarily sleeping down there. There's a difference between a temporary sleeping room and someone actually fully living down there. And
Habitation, it is being used for habitation. So just saying over and over it's not, even though it's registered as a three-bedroom, doesn't undo it.
habitable room, the definition, a room or enclosed floor space used or intended to be used for living, sleeping, cooking, or eating purposes, excluding bathrooms, heater closet compartments, laundries, pantries, foyers, or communicating corridors, closets, and storage space. Storage space is not part of it. Bathrooms are not part of habitable rooms. Laundries are not part of habitable rooms. You have heard the testimony that reflects that this is being...
Sleeping, it doesn't have to be all of the above. Sleeping, it's being used for sleeping. He said it's being used for sleeping. The registration says it's being used for sleeping. The main bed says it's being used for sleeping. Let's move on to another issue. It's being used for sleeping. It's habitable.
If the bed was removed, would the city be happy with the basement being utilized as a non-habitable?
We're before the board with what is, not what should be. Habitable room.
Mr. Saliga, are there different requirements for a basement if it's being utilized, if it's not being utilized as a habitable living space versus whether it is being utilized as a habitable living space? As far as ceiling height,
The new space requires a minimum ceiling height of 7 feet.
and if a basement is not being utilized as living space, what is the ceiling height requirement?
It's not living space. Well, by knowledge, there's no requirement, but obviously, that's not the case since it's not. We've been down this road multiple times already.
Mr. Saliga, did you prepare the records of permits that you provided to my office?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about those permits that were provided. Let's look at the first initial list that you had on there. It lists 4 separate permits, 1951, 1953, and 1996. Do you have this document? Okay. Now, why does why does this state 1951 four-room frame residence when this was actually built in 1950, as reflected on the page of permits that states 1950?
Perhaps it was awarded in 1951.
Okay, I'd like you to take a look at the page with the 1950 permit. Do you see where it says Fred Walensky or whatever that name is?
Yeah, that's actually 1951.
Oh, I guess it is. I apologize.
It was built as a four-room frame residence, so somehow we got from 4 rooms to basement rooms and second floor rooms.
Now, Mr. Saliga, do you see the next page, 1951, shows 526 Locust, and it states 2-story, and then it has some annotations.
Are you on the
No, I'm on this. I believe you have this. We may have things in different order.
plumbing? Right, 1951, the same year the home was built, permits for additional fixtures.
Okay, do you know what those annotations are, the R and F? Have the way permits been kept in the past, are they different from the way permits are kept today? And from these logbook records, are you able to tell what exactly was done on this permit in 1951?
Regarding the plumbing?
Regarding the fact that it was a 2-story residence and regarding additional fixtures?
Yeah, it's spelled out, additional fixtures.
Okay, and does that reflect that 7 additional fixtures were added in 1951?
Yes.
Now, you've been in the property as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did the fixtures appear to have been, appear to be from 1951?
I was around 1951, I couldn't tell you.
Did the fixtures,
Older, I can
do the fixtures in the property appear to be, okay, you said they appeared to be older, you said?
Yes, but is there a permit to add an additional unit on the second floor? Do you have a permit that shows an additional living unit on the second floor?
Can you tell me what exactly all of these permits mean? Can you tell me the two?
No, that's the yes or
I'm
no.
I'm not the one being questioned right now. And, you know, you can't question.
There's no permit.
Let's look at the electric. It appears to be in 1952. Can you tell from this what kind of electric permit was pulled in 1952?
No, but it appears the cost was a $2 permit, which at
And-
any time, that's not a lot of work.
That column isn't labeled, is it?
No.
There's no period there showing that it's $2 versus $200, is
Little
there?
letters will show the address and the address and the cost and the permit number.
But there is an electrical permit being shown during the course of the history of this property, correct?
Right. If you look at 1954 on that same page, there's an electrical permit for $20,000. So obviously,
I don't see that.
well, that's right below 1952. Cost of the permit is usually going to determine the size of the job. $2 permit is a small job,
Now,
generally speaking.
but if fixtures were already there, then the cost isn't going to be very large. Is there another permit here for 1953
For building?
for building a frame garage?
Yes. Which has nothing to do with basement apartment or second floor.
Now, where is the 1996 permit here?
I do not have a copy of that from the electrical.
Okay, and why is that?
I cannot find
Counselor?
1996 was citing.
Are you trying to establish back in 1951 that this property was constructed to be?
I'm trying to
two-unit? I'm trying to understand your questioning, and I mean, you're questioning,
I'm trying to establish that the property was
1951.
either built as a two-unit property, or that the property was built and that it has since had permits issued that make it a non-conforming legal use pursuant to HZO, Hammond Zoning Ordinance, Section 26.20, which requires that any building permit that is issued must ensure that a building or structure a permit cannot be issued to erect a building or structure or to make any change of a building unless it is in conformity with the zoning ordinance. And there have been a history of permits issued to this property. As recently as 2009, there was even an inspection, as you heard Stephen Yaxon testify about. There was an inspector out at the property to turn the electric back on. The electric reconnect permit is one of the subsequent permits attached. There's a mechanical permit attached showing that gas was reconnected for upstairs. There is a building permit for a fence, and HZO 26.20 states that a permit can't be issued unless the property is in compliance with the zoning ordinance.
and what does that have to do with 1951?
1951, it does state that this property was a two-story residence.
It doesn't,
It's-
that there was
yeah, two-story residence, true.
It says that it's a two-story, and this permit was issued very shortly after the initial building permit. So there's at least a
So,
question,
two-story building, go on.
there's at least a question in my mind why you would issue one permit in, I believe it was July of 1951, and then issue a second permit for that same building, showing it as a two-unit when you'd previously shown it
No,
as
no.
a four.
There was no permit issued showing it as a two-unit.
It shows a two-story.
Two-story.
My house.
Big difference, two-unit, two-story. Big difference.
And the permits were pulled later on for extra fixtures. Maybe the guy doing the house ran out of money. He decided to get the upstairs fixed.
Can you sum up, I mean, we can't dominate today's docket with this issue. So please sum up so we can move on.
What I'm stating is that my client deserves to be fairly represented here, and that's what I'm trying to do. I am stating that the notice of violation of the city should be either withdrawn or a decision should be rendered in our favor. The basement unit is not being utilized as living space. There is no basement apartment. It's not being rented out. There is no profit being made from the basement. The basement is not an apartment. So the issues that the city has with the cellar should be dismissed. As you heard Mr. Saliga testify, the ceiling height, there is no requirement of ceiling height if it's not being used for habitation that he's aware of. Hence, the dwelling unit separation issue goes away with respect to the basement if it's not used as a dwelling space, which it is not. And the second floor is, and always has been, utilized as a separate unit, and trying to get building permit fees for work that was not done by Mr. Yaxon doesn't make sense here. We have permits showing that we have a history of building permits showing electrical permits, plumbing permits, and a number of different things. We can't tell from what these permits reflect. We could just tell what they fall into. We have plumbing permits. We can't tell what kind of work was done with the plumbing permits because the permits were not kept in that manner. They were not kept in the manner that they are today, which is a lot more detailed. If they had been, perhaps we wouldn't be here in the first place. There are permits showing electrical work was done. Electrical licenses were not required until more recently. So there's no evidence that electric work has been done since that period of time, which I believe was around 2004 or 2005. No electric work has been done on the property since. That is one of the contentions in the notice of violation, that an electric license is required or displayed, but if no work is done, then no license is going to be required to be displayed.
Question.
Yes.
Would the client be willing to convert this house back into a single-family residence?
My client does not believe it was ever a single-family residence, and my client would like to continue to use it as a 2-unit.
Your client thinks it was built
My
as a rental unit upstairs on the second floor?
My client believes it was built as a 2-unit building because of the intentionality of the common staircase with the foyer entrance going to 2 separate units, one to the first floor.
Don't you think that a stairway is common in a 2-story residence?
It's also
How would they
common
get to
in
the
rental
second floor?
residences.
How would they get to the second floor if there weren't a stairway?
It's also common in rental residences.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll be brief. It's clear by the very nature of this house was not built, might have been built for related living that I can see. But the fact that the property manager says the only other way out of the second floor is to jump out a window that's not wide enough for the city engineer to sit out of, indicates to me it was not built as a rental property. And it's also, even if it was, a safety hazard in that it required people to try to squeeze out very narrow windows in case of emergency. In addition, firemen sometimes have to get in through windows, and there's no way a fireman fully loaded up and turn out here could fit through these windows.
And again, she's talking about windows. Look at the notice of violation in the order to remove second floor apartment. Building permit fees, contractor license, electrical inspection department, electrical license, plumbing, and dwelling unit separation. None of these references windows. Windows are not at issue with the city. If the city had wanted to contend that there was an issue with the windows on the second floor, they would have done so. And additionally, Mr. Saliga, you heard him testify that the ceiling height for the second floor, they have no problem with that.
Ceiling height, but they have a problem with the windows.
No, they don't. Not according to this notice of violation.
City has a problem with the windows. Unsafe building, ma'am. Unsafe. And I hope your client realizes this hearing is about safety issues. Safety issues. There's a fire on the second floor and the people can't get out the window. What's going to happen? You want to project what's going to happen? Oh, they'll squeeze through, or maybe they'll burn and die.
That's not the issue. That's not the issue with the second floor.
It's not an issue. The windows aren't an issue with the second floor.
No, it's not in this
Give me the
notice of
dimensions-
violation.
Give me the dimensions of the windows on the second floor since it's not an issue. It's not
Why
an
would I need
issue.
to? Why would I need to? It's not
Thank you.
up for notice
Can I
of
have a
violation
recommendation
here.
from the city so we can move on?
I suggest the city takes it under advisement and issues a written finding within 30 days.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Ma'am, do you want your paperwork back?
No, I would like the city to retain a copy of that paperwork.
And I'd like to tell your property owner's father, we appreciate the way he maintains his home, and it's a nice single-family home with in-law amenities. Moving on, item L, correspondence received from attorney Ellen Faulkner requesting a continuance on the hearing for property located at 243 Oakwood.
He had some discussions with Kurt Cook, they're working on it in 6 days.
October 23rd or 30th.
Motion concur, all those in favor? Ayes have it. Item N, correspondence received from attorney Curtis P. Vossi requesting a continuance of the hearing on property located at 6609 Jefferson Avenue, 4841 Elm, and 915 Michigan.
On the Jefferson one, we need complete discovery, which is his deposition, so I don't know what he asked for, but I'd say at least as far as the October date.
He's,
September 18th.
no, request a continuance of this hearing. All right, October,
I think the main reason he was asking for continuance was, he mentioned my name several times.
says, I'm requesting continuance of hearing today as we have been held in deposition. The above with Mr. Cook.
Right, I showed up for the deposition at the time he requested me. He said, you know what, I want to talk to everybody else first. I may not need to talk to you after that was done. I'm talking about the Jefferson one now. Dismissed me, has never summoned me to come back, has never asked me to come back. I've seen him in the hallway, and I said, do you want to depose me? And he says, I don't know. This is just a delay tactic. It's been going on for years. And on the other one, he has never deposed me, summoned me, subpoenaed me, asked me, called me on the phone, or written me a letter concerning those two properties at all. It is just a delay tactic. He's been doing them for years. Yeah, but if he wants to depose me, when's he gonna do it? I mean, he's had 6 months since the last one, and he just doesn't do it. And if we wait 6 more months, then he'll say, oh, I still want to depose Kurt.
You guys are in the process of doing deposition. When they were postponed,
He
Mr. Cook made himself available for deposition with the documents he was subpoenaed and bring. We have yet to hear from Mr. Cook
Right.
if available to resume deposition.
I was there with a smile and a nice suit.
I'm sure you smiled.
He dismissed me. He's just delaying.
All right, Chris, what would you like us to do?
I would still say the
Jefferson one.
October 22nd, the other two, your discretion.
October 23rd.
Sorry, I apologize.
And then Elm in Michigan, when, Chris?
Whatever you like, because there are no written depositions.
Can we notice him up that this is the final extension that we're gonna provide for him in these cases?
Is it September 18th? No, it says, this date I am receiving your notice regarding the scheduling of a hearing property for September 18th.
Can we do these in October?
It doesn't.
October 23rd?
Okay, 23rd.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
Concur, all in favor? Ayes have it. Item O, rental registration hearing on property located at 6736 Woodmar Avenue.
Hi.
Good morning.
All right, Mr. President, I think that the water is the owner's date since 06, and bills were mailed to the owner at that address. She owes only the 2014 registration.
Ms. Harris?
Yes,
You live on Knickerbocker?
yes. I just moved, this was formerly my home on Woodmar. I bought a house on Knickerbocker last year. I kept the house I was gonna sell it, but the property values, I was kind of wanting to wait a year. So,
Is Woodmar a single family?
yes,
One unit?
I rented it, last year. I wasn't going to do it again, but I changed my mind and, had a lease, set up to start July 1st. And prior to that, I sent in the registration again, and then my issue is the $500 late fee. They wouldn't even register it without that.
I understand. So,
It appears she was looking after the April 15 date anyway, so we were recommending we wait late.
okay, so moved.
Motion? Motion? Wade?
Wait till they finish the $80. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you.
Thank you.
Item O, rental registration hearing on property located at 838 Wilcox.
Hello, this is the property manager. Good morning. So she has a couple words to say. ¿Qué es lo que?
Que se deben mil y algo de atrasado de permisos, pero en ese entonces yo no era la propia manager, que tengo los recibos.
$1,000, okay. De tardanza de permiso. Okay, so there's a single family home, and it is like a rental property. And There's some late fees for like $1,000 something for the permits, the rental permits. And she's stating that she wasn't the property manager for the 2 years, the 2000.
She lives on Truman,
Yes,
but she owned the house on Wilcox.
she's a
The house
property
is
manager.
property manager.
She's a property
Who
manager.
owns the house?
Pilar Chavez, they're in Mexico.
They're in Mexico?
Ya, pero
Yes.
el que era encargado antes era Mike.
How long have the tenants that are in there been in there?
The ones that are in now,
Right, how long have they been there?
well, that would be me. We've been there since July 15th
This year?
This year?
of this year.
Okay, because the previous tenants were tearing up the place.
Yes,
How
correct.
long, so the person that owns the property, he lives in Mexico?
Yes,
Has
and,
he ever lived here?
yeah, well, not a couple years ago, no.
But he has lived here before.
Yes.
He live in this house on Wilcox?
Él vive en esa casa, ¿verdad que sí? El property,
Ah,
el que era dueño, es dueño.
sí.
Yes,
El
How
que
long
era
have you
dueño.
been there?
since July 15th of this year.
Pero la rentaba
The
este,
ones,
mira.
Michael A. Escobar, era el property manager, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Was a property
Yeah.
manager
Le
before her, which was
rentaba
before
a esta
October
persona.
of 2013. And he was renting to Becky,
That actually does line up. There were some tenants and then they were tearing up the place.
yeah, Becky
They
Mancilla,
got kicked out because the water was off. Water was turned back on in May of this year.
correct.
And then it appears in July of this year, new owners, Pilar and Juan Chavez, water was being sent to Michael Escobar's name, which was over in Maryville. So they might not have gotten water bill notice too, so in Maryville.
Y luego que se estaban robando también el
Oh.
agua. También salió de
You've been there
Tienes que
since
pagar.
July.
Yes.
People that lived there before you, when did they leave?
¿Cuándo se fueron los que vivieron allí antes de yo?
Ah,
¿Pues este fue el último recibo?
ya. Lo sacaron en enero con abogado.
They left January de este año? January of de este año? Of this year, they got kicked out by
Till January.
lawyer, yeah.
What's the pleasure?
I would indicate that since it appears to be new owners, new rental after April 15th, we should waive the late fee for this year. She'll have to register for 15 like anybody else.
Correct.
Just single family?
Yes.
They can get it until July.
Make a motion, we waive the late fee, but the $80 must be paid. Second.
Okay.
Motion second, all those in favor? Ayes have it. $80.
Thank you.
Just want to know that it'll have to be after January, registered again,
Correct.
every year by April 15th.
April 15th,
Okay.
that's the magic date every year.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Item P, rental registration hearing on property located at 7319 Jackson. 7319 Jackson?
Mr.
Brian Granovich?
Aronovich? No show? Seen on here? I'd like to make a motion that we assess the late fee plus the $80. I don't know how many units it is, so that will be figured out. One unit.
Motion? Second. All those in favor? Ayes have it. Item Q, rental registration hearing on property located at 3152 Cleveland Street. Good morning.
Good morning.
What happened?
You're not John Riley.
No. He works out of town Monday through Friday in Madison, Wisconsin.
I'm sorry, Chris, it changed hands when?
May.
Okay, and you are,
Fiance,
so you guys just got it in May, and you live in Highland?
correct. And that's our first.
And you just rented it in May, or right after?
The tenant stayed, and we were looking at our second rental property, and we thought that we would close and we would register both of them. We didn't know there was a 30-day time period for that.
Is it a, single family?
Yes,
And you do own other property in the city?
yes,
And they're registered?
yes. When we went to go register that one, we were gonna register both at the same time, but the first one fell back past the 30 days.
Make a motion that we waive the late fee, but the $80 must be paid.
Motion and second, all in favor? Ayes have it. $80, you'll get a notice in the mail, or you can wait and pay today
Okay,
after the meeting.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Item R, rental registration hearing on property located at 922 Summer Street. 922 Summer?
Loriano, Ostroberto?
Okay, I'll go with that. No show? none, see none. How many units?
Mr. President, I have it down to P1.
Make a motion that we assess the late fee plus the $80.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Ayes have it. Rental registration hearing on property located at 7539 Van Buren.
Mr. Dykstra?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Morning.
Morning. Andy?
Mr. President, here's Mr. Dykstra. Oh, Mr. Dykstra, property after April 2014, so after the 15th.
Yes,
And is it rented now, sir?
it is.
How many units?
One.
One unit. Is that the only property you own in the city?
First time.
First time?
Starting to learn the, the rules and regulations and whatnot, so, but it is my first one.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we waive the late fee, but $80 must be paid within the next 30 days.
Okay, and I will get one unit. Yes.
Motion second, all those in favor? Ayes have it.
They'll send me some in the mail then?
In the mail or pay today, whatever you like.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Item T, rental registration hearing on property located at 1035 Morris.
Mr. Higgs?
Yes. I actually didn't get a notice and forgot, and been so bogged down with family issues and lost of an uncle and whatnot, but what can I say?
Mr. Higgs, I'm sorry, Mr. President doesn't, the water bill does not go to Mr. Higgs, it goes to the tenant.
Single family?
It is 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
What are you doing with all your money?
I've owned the property for about 12 years now. But you have tenants that move in and out, so you have to do repairs and all that, so.
Probably lost money on the property.
Oh, yeah, just say yeah.
Yeah, I should say yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the late fee, but the $80 must be paid within the next 30 days.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Pay today.
Former
Or-
mayor of Hammond.
Or you'll get a letter in the mail.
I'm gonna pay today.
Very good, sir, thank you.
Rental registration?
Good morning, former Mayor McDermott.
How are you?
Good. Always a pleasure to see you. Item U, rental registration, hearing on property located at 5936 Birch.
Ms. Colby?
Yes,
Good morning.
good morning.
Okay, I see that you live at 5936 Birch?
Yes.
And it's a rental? You have a?
No, it's not a rent, it's a one-family dwelling. But I was renting to my daughter.
You were?
Yeah,
Not anymore?
I'm not anymore. She stays there, but she's not paying rent.
Well, then, Mr. President, she would just need to go to the basement, fill out the affidavit, because it's not a rental, so no fee should be assessed.
Since you don't rent it anymore, downstairs in the building department, there's a form that you can fill out. It's an affidavit stating that you don't rent it anymore. And we'll just make a motion to dismiss, Chris?
Yes.
Okay,
You will need to fill out that form, otherwise they'll keep sending her.
So downstairs,
downstairs?
just tell them you need an affidavit because you don't rent the property anymore.
Okay.
Thank
A
you.
big window downstairs.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item B, rental registration hearing on properties located at 6637 Delaware, 1433 Shell, 3703 Toll, 6136 Ray, 6138 Ray, 1103 Moss, and 1116 Conkey Street.
Morning.
Mr. Haberman,
That's me, yep.
you came all the way from New York for this?
I most certainly did this morning, so I do take it seriously. So, really, it's an oversight on my part. I thought it was due at the end of April. I have had the properties for 6 years, 7 years.
Are you the owner or the property manager?
No, I'm the owner. I'm the owner. I did have a switch of, I actually was taking over the management during that time, so between everything else, it sort of slipped my mind that the fees were due. Like I said, it was due, I thought it was due April 30th. I have checks still with me from, that I dated April 20th. sent them, they were sent back to me saying, no, they're late, so I'm,
Are these all single family or are some of them multifamily?
well, Ray is, I guess, considered I pay the water, but it's two separate units.
The duplex?
Yeah, I mean, there's two separate entrances, a big brick building, so I guess they call it a two-family, but it's two separate addresses.
Which one? I can go through them.
Ray.
61, 36, and 38 Ray. So this, okay, I got you. 61, 36, it's the same building.
It's the same building, right, and I pay the water, yeah.
That's one unit each, one unit each.
I've not seen any real problems with either properties. On the Ray property, there was a report of other sister fighting, but.
What about Cole? 3703 Cole?
That's a single.
3? That's a single.
That's a single. They're all single, except I guess the Ray.
7 units.
You got anything else, Chris, on the rest of the property?
No, just brother and sister fighting, which I can
And he's always paid in the past, right?
quite common.
This
Yeah,
is the first time you haven't?
I've always paid. My first year I had him, I paid the fine because I wasn't aware, but I've always paid.
Our policy's been if it's been the first time, we typically waive it.
Make a motion that we waive all late fees, but the $80 on each unit must be paid.
Motion,
Second?
all in favor? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Coming in from New York, sir.
Appreciate it.
You can pay today, or you will receive a notice in the mail.
Oh, I'll go pay downstairs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item W, correspondence received requesting rental registration hearing.
October 23rd. Make a motion that we schedule this for October 23rd.
That's not that. Okay. Item X, agreements to rehab property located at 1019 May Street and 503 Conkey Street.
Mr. President, those are properties that were on the demolition list. The parties have entered into written agreements to rehabilitate. I would ask that you please ratify those so repair process can commence.
There's a motion.
Make a motion to approve all that.
Second, all in favor? Ayes have it. Item Y, correspondence received from the Hammond Common Council requesting cut and cleans, board ups, alley cleanings, demolitions, inspections, and pothole repairs. No, you don't.
Well, it needs to go to code enforcement and Gary Gleason at the street department.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item Z, correspondence received from Councilwoman at-large Janet Venez requesting no parking signs be placed in alley behind 5121 Calumet between Michigan Street and Wilcox, a stop sign at the merge of State Street and Sibley Street, and additional signs indicating State Street is one-way heading westbound, and additional speed limit signs in the same area.
Motion to refer this to Gary Gleason.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor? Ayes have it. Item AA, correspondence received from the Spanish Pentecostal Church of God Incorporated requesting permission to hold an outdoor revival service Saturday, August 16th.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is that delivered? Yes. Are you requesting any street closures?
No,
Is this all gonna be on your own
it
property?
will be on the own property.
Church parking lot.
Mhm.
I make a motion that we approve that.
Second?
Motion and a second, I think we should send it to, PD.
Yeah, if there's a lot of people that they don't get.
We collected signatures around the neighborhood, and they all, most of them signed.
So I'll just send it to the police department, notice them up that there may be traffic congestion and
Okay,
related, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Item BB, correspondence received from Miss Felicia Virgin, requesting permission to hold a party on Saturday, August 23rd, from 2 to 10 p.m. with alley closure.
4526 Cedar.
I would just ask we refer that to the police department.
Move.
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Garage sale permit submitted for approval. motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Ayes have it. Any matters from board members?
I have one, Whitey Robertson Chamber of Commerce is asking for the one lane of the boulevard be closed on Thursday the 21st. They're doing a tour of like the pavilion and the bike trails that we recently built, and that one section is not completely done, and it's a tight sidewalk, so they're asking if we can get it closed up.
Yeah, that's what we did during.
Mr. Davenport already spoke to Chief Doty, the Indiana Department of Transportation regarding this, but I think we should still send it to John also.
I think we should ask Mr. Davidson to appear.
I
There's no time
would like
to do
to
that.
not do that.
I'll second the
Is there a
motion.
motion? Motion and a second, all those in favor? Ayes have it. Any other matters from board members?
I'd like to wish Mr. Cruz a happy 60th birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other matters from board members?
I got nothing.
Item 7, matters from other department heads or their reps. Item 8, new business. Item 9, old business. Item 10, meeting is now open to the public.
Yes, Stan, I just requesting that on the road in Carroll, Ms. Campbell has called me like 30 times in the last week. I know you were on vacation. If, whatever we can do to prevent the water from going into their basements, we were dealing with that from last year.
That's the one just north of here?
Yeah, yeah, and she keeps calling me, and I told her to talk to you. We have the casino money to be utilized for infrastructure, so if whatever we can do to prevent the water, whatever it's gonna take, you can extradite that so that she can calm her nerves, because she's calling me like every day.
Is this a private property issue? I mean,
No, it's actually the street, and every time it rains, it goes straight to her basement, and I get calls whether it rains or
I
not.
think we talked about curbing that, right?
Whatever we need to do to get it done this year.
That would help. That may not guarantee that.
Well, at least we did our part. You know, I don't know what else. If she needs a sub pump or something in the basement, then that's on her. But she's like calling constantly, trying to get this resolved. So I'm requesting.
That's probably why you were late on your runner registration. You were taking phone calls.
Well, it's never ending.
If you don't have money to actually curb it yet, would you be conducive to me talking to the sewer department about setting a drain out there at the edge of the pavement?
Whatever's
Do
needed.
that cheap and quick.
Yeah.
Hold it up, hold it together until we get money to build the street.
Right. If we just do that, and we can have that one street. So I'll make a motion that we have that design, a request.
Yeah, let me take a look and see how far away that is from the sewer, and maybe I can get the sewer department to stick a drain in there.
For the time being, and then we can have it engineered and designed so that she can calm her nerves down, because Ms. Campbell is like livid about this. She's like, this is ongoing from last year. So she's like calling me like every day. And then she says she's left messages with you. So that's my request. And also, the 5700 block of Calumet Avenue, there are weeds growing or adjacent to the cable company. If we can have someone from inspection department go out there and take a look at that and have them cut the weeds and clean it up around the business so that Calumet, right?
What cable company?
It's a cell phone. Did I say cable?
Yeah.
Cell
Cell
phone.
phone store? Okay.
The cell phone store on the corner, not the cable, cell phone store on the corner. And that's basically it.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a homeowner at 6637 Colorado Avenue, and I wanted to request a light in my alley. It's very, very dark back there, and like a week and a half ago, we heard shots, like 8 shots, and my husband called 911 about it, and we couldn't really see anything. Plus, when we take out our little dogs, our backyard backs up to the alley, and we hear like male voices, but I can't see anybody, and it's kind of scary for me to let my dogs out in the yard because the gate is real small.
Are there any lights in that alley now?
No, there's no lights in the alley at all.
6637
Colorado.
Colorado.
I'm not sure if there's a pole, I just know it's no
What
lighting.
they'll do is they'll probably put it on the closest pole,
Okay.
existing pole.
Well, that would work if, because it'll deter crime and stuff like that.
And they also have, yes, they do. They also, NIPSCO has a dusk to dawn lighting program, which is very.
They ran out of funding, excuse me, but they ran out of funding. They only had 60, so that's something that I'm trying to put in the ordinance, maybe.
NIPSCO.
Not a casino.
No, we're saying NIPSCO.
NIPSCO does it.
NIPSCO offers
Separately?
a dusk to dawn lighting program.
I know redevelopment was when they only had 60.
Yeah, no, NIPSCO does it on their own.
Really?
So you can contact the utility, talk to them about dusk to dawn lighting if, you know, for your comfort, they will help you get lighting
Okay.
back to your property on dusk to dawn basis, and like I said, the cost is insignificant.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's refer that to Frank Serang over at the street department.
Thank you for waiting, ladies.
Frank